Number 38 asks us to find the equation for each parabola described. So I went ahead, the best thing you can do, I think, for this one is to sketch it yourself. Now, I know I didn't give you a grid, but it's something that, it's easy enough to sketch that you should be able to do that without a provided grid. So I went ahead and plotted the vertex and the focus. Alright, so that tells us a couple things. It tells us that this parabola is going to open to the left, because the focus is always going to be on the inside. Now, I don't know how wide or how narrow that curve is, but I'm at least going to draw in that little curve so I can just give myself a visual. Another thing that this shows us is that if the focus is 2 to the left of the vertex, that means the directrix line is going to be 2 to the right. So you really don't need that, but if you wanted to, it's not a bad piece of information to draw in. Some people like to use the focus equation or the directrix equation more, whichever one you prefer, but that at least gives us a start. So how I would start this is start by writing the general equation for that parabola. Since it opens to the left, it's going to be an x equals parabola. So we have x equals a times y minus k squared plus h. Okay, and then again, just your h and k is your center, or not your center, your vertex. So we have that. It's h and k, so -8, -2. So you can go ahead and plug those in. So y minus a -2 is going to give us y plus 2. And then plus h is really just going to be a -8. So really what we need to do is figure out what this a term is. And we've used the vertex for as much as we can. The only thing that we haven't used, besides on the graph, is the focus. And if you go back to your formula sheet, and again you're looking at the horizontal or the left or right opening parabola, it tells us that the focus equation is h plus 1 over 4a and k. Alright, so we know h and k. We know h is -8. We know k is -2. What we don't know is a. But the thing about this is we know what the focus is supposed to be. We know the focus is supposed to be -10, -2. So the -2's already match up, but the -8 plus 1 over 4a is supposed to equal -10 because that's a given equation for that focus. So this allows us to solve for a. If we add 8 to both sides, we get 1 over 4a is equal to -2. Multiply both sides by 4a. So 1 is equal to -8a. Divide both sides by -8. And that's our a value. So if we go back to the equation, I'm just going to erase the a that I have here. If we go back to the equation, we now know that a is -1/8, and we can replace it in that equation. So that's our final vertex form for that parabola. Something I should mention for this one, even though it doesn't ask you to, we could go ahead and finish this graph. Since we know the a value, we know how wide this is going to be. If you remember the term, the LLR, it's 1 over a, the absolute value of 1 over a. And that's going to be the distance through the focus to both sides of the parabola. So 1 divided by 1/8 is 8. So that means from this focus point here, we're going to go up 4 and plot a point, and down 4 and plot a point. So if you look, the whole length of that line from that top purple dot to the bottom purple dot, that whole length is 8. So from this vertex, if we take and just connect those side points, that shows us the true shape of that parabola.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.